Hey, it's John at Tinderbox Arts. This is my Triumph Bonneville. It's a 2010 model, and I'm doing some maintenance, including putting new tires on it. And while I'm doing that, I thought this would finally be a good time to address greasing the pivot points on the swing arm. Now, I have 26,700 miles on this bike. However, those are not miles used for commuting or much travel or in rain or anything like that. It's local riding on fair weather days. As such, maybe these pivot points have not taken as much of a beating as they might have. However, that is a lot of miles, and it's overdue for having these re-greased. Grease itself can dry up or become oxidized over time. Now, I did source 2 grease seals, which I believe I'm going to need. I did not get these from Triumph. Now, of course, Triumph buys them from the third party anyway. But I got these online, and I'm not too concerned about the quality because these grease seals don't take the beating the way a wheel bearing grease seal would, for example. Now, to do this job, you need to remove the swing arm totally. And that is just not very much fun, but it is what it is. So the rear wheel has to be removed. There are things in the way like the chain guard and maybe the exhaust silencers. The shocks have to be detached. So there's a bunch of stuff going on here. It just takes time. That's all it is. Okay, with the rear wheel out of the way, I can get the camera in here and see a little better. I want to remind myself and the viewer, when we put this back together, make sure the chain is oriented this way, not underneath the swing arm, because that would be a problem. And we have the brake line coming in here as well. So we just want to make sure when we put this back together, that's oriented correctly. Now let's take a look at how this swing arm is attached. We have 2 points here with the shock. So the shock bolt here and on the other side needs to come out and be removed. And then here, there's a plastic cap. I'll have to pry that off, and that'll expose a bolt on the other side. And this isn't going to be in the way as well. So I got to take this off, take the plastic cap off, and then there should be a nut underneath here. And it's just like an axle, really, like a wheel axle, same idea. So we'll remove that, and then that should drop this whole thing down. I do want to be careful of the brake caliper, which is just sitting here right now. I want to try to tie that off somewhere, but I think I need to leave it loose to give myself some play. And on the other side here, you can see this cover obscures where we need to be. Right here is the bolt, the pivot bolt, and I need to get to that. So in order to pull this out, this whole cover has to come off. So I'll get to that as well. So the pinch bolt on this side is loosened, and I loosened these two bolts here. So this pedal is loose, but I didn't remove it because the brake is attached, and I think I can get away with this, although I might be wrong on that. So I'm going to try to loosen this without removing this whole bracket if I can. Before I finish on the front though, I want to loosen these bolts to the shocks at least. All right, I think I got everything. The shock bolts are loose, and the shocks are just holding the swing arm from dropping down right now. I just want to see how tight this really is, because it's never been touched. And this is a little tricky because to loosen this, I got to pull up, which is going to knock the bike off balance. So what I'm going to do is put my hand, move this over, I'm going to put my hand here, push down while I'm pulling up, I hope, and just see how tight this really is. If I can try to do this anyway. Yeah, it's tight, but not awful. In fact, the other side might be turning. I gotta look at that. No, I think it's loosening. There we go. So that is something to be cautious about because you don't want, the bike to tip over while you're doing this. All right, so this is definitely awkward without a helper. So I need to hold this here and then kind of hug the bike, which I can't really even show you, to get the nut loose. It's not super tight, it's just a little more than I can do with finger. And I can just unscrew this the rest of the way. So we got a nut, a washer, and then this for the pinch bolt. So that's out of the way. And I can move this back and forth already, so I know that's going to come out without too much trouble. And actually, I see some red grease there, which is a good sign. In fact, I think what I'm going to try to do here, this would be easier with a helper, I'll tell you that. So I can easily push that in. So I'm going to go to the other side and pull it out. And here on the other side, you can see this is coming out easily. But if I had another set of hands, that would be helpful. All right, so I'm going to pull this out. Okay, that looks good. There's actually red grease all over that. It looks clean. I'm going to put that down there temporarily. And now, let's see, what I'm wondering is if I really have to mess with this. No, I can just drop it. So I have the swing arm drop now. There is some dirt and stuff here I'm being careful about. I really probably need to loosen these bolts a little bit more. And you don't have to remove the bracket, I don't think, but just move it slightly more. So I have the shocks just hanging on here. I removed the bolt, but they're just hanging on that little nub. And I guess I'm just going to try to sit down here. So I'll remove that shock, move the other shock, and that should come down, and it does. Now, I got to get my rear end out of here and get out of the way so I can pull this totally out. Now the one remaining sticky wicket here is that the chain is wrapped around the swing arm. So look down here, I can slide the swing arm out from the chain in the middle there to get it out, but I want to be careful of this brake caliper. So I'm going to move that out of the way there. And what I can do is pick up the swing arm and just sort of slide it out from the chain. Okay, there's quite a bit of filth here. Definitely some cleaning we need to do. And there's a sleeve, I'll just push that out. There's a sleeve right here, which looks pretty good, clean. And then there's roller bearings inside there. And yeah, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to clean this sleeve off, push it back in, and I want to clean some of this filth out before I get too far here. Here's another sleeve on this side, same idea. Here's a close-up for you so you can see. Yeah, there's a bunch of just filth. It's just from the chain. Okay, now that I got everything cleaned up from the grease, let me get you oriented here. So this side is the chain side, all right? And if you look inside here, there is a exposed roller bearing, right? It's just a cage with rollers. That I definitely want to get greased. It actually doesn't look bad. Feels good. There's plenty of grease still in there, but you know, now is the time to get that greased up. Now, there's a grease seal on this side and one on the other side. So I was not prepared for that. I looked at the fiche, but it was just hard to tell what was what. On the opposite side here, there are two sealed bearings. Now, there's a grease seal again here and one on the other side. So as far as the grease seals, I bought two of them. The sizes were 25 by 32 by 4, and the other one was 25 by 35 by 4. They do appear to be correct, but I should have more of the smaller one. But it is what it is. And actually, these seals seem pretty good. I'm less concerned about this side because they're sealed bearings to begin with. So, it's just less important. So what I'll need to do is pack those with grease just for protection from moisture, water getting in there, that kind of thing. But on this side, it's more important because it is an exposed bearing in there, and if water actually got in there, yeah, that's a problem. So I'll concentrate as far as the replacement of the seals on this side. Now on the chain side, there's this long spacer, and on the opposite side, there are two smaller ones. Now the bearings on the left side are not perfect. They're not loose. I can get in there with my finger and turn them. There's a little bit of notchiness or grittiness that I don't like, but I don't think I'm going to replace them just yet. Now, if I did need to replace them, I need to remove the grease seals, of course, and press them out. Similar to a wheel, actually, when you're doing wheel bearings. So it's not the end of the world, but right now I think I'm going to live with it. Now I'll just be using this common red grease. That's what the factory used. And I'm going to just stick that in there, and I'm going to use my finger to work it in to the bearing. Now you could take the whole bearing out if you wanted to and clean it, but since this was in such good shape, there's really no need to do that. So I'm just going to keep spinning it and pushing that grease into that roller bearing. And then this sleeve I will also grease itself. Get that slid in there. Now I'll clean up that grease on the outside so that doesn't attract dirt. Now the opposite side is a sealed bearing. I can't get grease in there, but I do want to pack the area between the bearing edge and the grease seal. And again, that'll just help keep water and any other kind of debris out from there. Now remember, to put this back together, I need to kind of take this arm right here and put it through the center of that chain so the chain gets oriented correctly, and also watch the brake line to make sure that gets oriented correctly. All right, so in putting this back together, I already made an idiot move. This nut goes on this side, not the chain side. It's so easy to reverse them, and I don't even know if it would make a difference other than there's a cover that goes over this nut, so you want to do that. So this 110 Newton meter, the pinch bolts on both sides, 40 to 45 Newton meter. All right, we got it all buttoned up again. I was doing some other maintenance, including new tires. But it all seems good. So that swing arm, I think, will be good for at least another year or two. And at that time, I'll take the swing arm back off, take a look at those bearings, and just make sure they're not getting worse. As far as mileage, I might recommend looking at this at maybe 25,000. But if you are doing a lot of commuting in the rain and that sort of thing, maybe a little earlier, maybe more like 20,000. It's one of those things you just need to look at once in a blue moon, but it is an important item not to overlook.